Hello everyone. This is the story of the capital city of a wealthy and powerful nation, a city that often appears in Hollywood movies. In films about terrorism, it's portrayed as the most frequently attacked city in the world. Welcome to Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. Washington, D.C., officially known as the District of Columbia, is the capital and the only federal district of the United States. The city is located on the eastern banks of the Potomac River, a major waterway that allows ships to travel from the river's mouth to the nation's capital. Washington, D.C. shares its borders with the states of Virginia and Maryland. The city's name is undoubtedly familiar, isn't it? Its name comes from George Washington, the founding father and the first president of the United States. The DXC stands for the District of Columbia. Columbia was one of the earliest popular names used to refer to America, inspired by the famous explorer Christopher Columbus. Washington, D.C. is not a very large city, but it is home to all the major government institutions of the United States. Many people often confuse Washington, D.C. with the state of Washington, located in the northwestern part of the country. The city of Washington, D.C. is divided into 4 quadrants, with the Capitol building serving as the central point, and it is comprised of 131 neighborhoods. If Washington, D.C. were a country, it would be 336 times larger than Vatican City and, of course, bigger than countries like Monaco, Nauru, Tuvalu, San Marino, and Liechtenstein. As of the latest surveys, Washington, D.C. has a population of approximately 700,000 people, making it a relatively popular city, though it ranks only around the 20th most populous city in the United States. However, the number of people commuting to the city for work during the day and returning home at night pushes the daytime population to about 1 million. It is estimated that over 70,000 foreign immigrants live in Washington, D.C. The largest groups of foreign-born residents in the city include people from El Salvador, Vietnam, and Ethiopia. Now, let's explore some of the iconic landmarks in Washington, D.C. These structures are not only emblematic, but also hold significant historical value for the city. First, let's talk about the Capitol building, also known as the United States Capitol. It serves as the legislative branch of the U.S. federal government and is located on Capitol Hill. The history of the United States Capitol began in the late 18th century when President George Washington laid the cornerstone for its construction. Over the years, the building has undergone numerous renovations and expansions, transforming it into the grand and majestic structure we see today, far more impressive than it was in its early days. The Capitol building spans over 16,000 square meters, featuring 540 rooms, 658 windows, and 850 doors. It can accommodate thousands of people at once. In 2008, the Capitol added a visitor center, making it an even more attractive destination for tourists visiting Washington, D.C. This visitor center includes exhibition areas, a theater, and souvenir shops. This site has also been the scene of unrest when individuals attempted to forcefully enter, causing significant challenges for U.S. authorities. Historically, President George Washington's remains were intended to be interred in a crypt beneath the Capitol. However, respecting his wish to be buried at his private estate, the crypt remains empty to this day. Another iconic landmark of Washington, D.C. is the White House. This is the official residence and workplace of the President of the United States. Initially, the White House was called a President's House, a very formal name. It later became known as the White House because of its white painted exterior. The White House was constructed in 1792 and took 8 years to complete. Inside the White House, there are 412 doors, 147 windows, and 132 rooms, including living quarters and offices. Additionally, it features 35 bathrooms and 28 fireplaces, emphasizing the importance of bathing, laundry, and heating. To navigate the building, there are 8 staircases and 3 elevators. The White House also includes recreational and fitness facilities such as a tennis court, a bowling alley, a running track, a swimming pool, and a movie theater to meet the leisure and exercise needs of the presidents. During Donald Trump's time in the White House, a space was even designated for practicing golf. Interestingly, 2 U.S. presidents once kept alligators as pets in the White House. Although George Washington, the first president of the United States, chose the location and design of the White House, he is the only U.S. president who never lived there, as the White House was completed after his death. While U.S. presidents do not pay rent to live in the White House, they are responsible for covering personal expenses. For example, presidents have to pay for laundry services and personal hygiene items they use while living in the White House. On the Earth Stories channel, I've created a dedicated story about the White House, which you can check out. Next is the Library of Congress, headquartered in 3 buildings in Washington, D.C. It is the largest library in the world by shelf space and one of the most significant libraries on the planet. The library's collection includes over 30 million catalog books and other printed materials written in 470 languages, along with more than 61 million handwritten manuscripts. In addition, the Library of Congress is one of the largest repositories of data in the world. Its collection includes over 4.8 million maps, 2.7 million sound recordings, and 13.7 million prints and photographs. One of the most intriguing items housed in the Library of Congress is the FBI's face-to-face interrogation manual. Despite being classified as top secret within the FBI, it somehow made its way into the Library of Congress, sparking curiosity about how such a sensitive document ended up there. For some peculiar reason, the author of the FBI's interrogation manual decided to register it for copyright. According to US law, anything copyrighted must be made available to anyone with access to the Library of Congress. As a result, this once top-secret document became part of the library's collection. The library notes that its archive shelves are already filled to capacity. If all the shelves were placed end-to-end, their total length would be approximately 850 kilometers. When including the collection of books and materials stored close together, the distance extends to nearly 1,000 kilometers. In addition to government buildings and the Library of Congress, Washington, D.C. is home to an extensive system of national monuments. Naturally, the president for whom the U.S. Capitol is named has a monument dedicated to him, the Washington Monument. This iconic structure is the tallest in the U.S. Capitol and faced numerous challenges during its construction. Officially opened in 1888, the Washington Monument is an obelisk and a symbol of the nation's reverence for George Washington. The obelisk honoring the first president of the United States took over a century from its initial planning to its completion. The Washington Monument features 2 distinct colors, as the upper and lower sections were constructed during different periods using different types of stone. When it was inaugurated in 1888, the monument stood at a height of 169 meters 555 feet and weighed over 81,000 tons, making it a remarkable engineering and architectural achievement of its time. The Washington Monument was the tallest man-made structure in the world, until the Eiffel Tower in Paris was completed just 1 year later. The original design for the monument was vastly different from the structure we see today. Initially, it was envisioned as a Greek-style temple with 30 stone columns featuring a statue of George Washington riding a chariot above the entrance. However, the design was later simplified, resulting in its current form, an obelisk. Many have remarked that the current structure resembles nothing more than a giant nail, a stark departure from the grandeur of the original concept. Another highly renowned US president is Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, who is remembered for his significant role in preserving the Union, promoting equality, and fighting against racial discrimination. His name is most closely associated with the emancipation of enslaved African Americans and the protection of the unity of the United States, ultimately leading to a stronger nation. Lincoln's legacy is honored with a dedicated memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, standing as a symbol of freedom and justice. When Barack Obama took the oath of office as President of the United States, he placed his hand on the Bible once owned by Abraham Lincoln. Many people believe that without Lincoln's leadership and the legacy of his efforts to preserve the Union and promote equality, the path would not have been paved for Obama's presidency. Lincoln's contributions to civil rights and unity laid the groundwork for future generations, making Obama's election a significant milestone in American history. The Lincoln Memorial, which was built at a cost of $3 million, was the most expensive construction project in American history at the time. Construction began in 1914, and it was completed 8 years later. The memorial features 36 columns, which symbolize the 36 states that existed in the United States during President Lincoln's time. Since then, the country has expanded to become a powerful union of 50 states. One of the most unique memorials in the United States is the Vietnam War Memorial, often referred to as the Wall. This black granite V-shaped wall is 75 meters long and 3 meters high, with the names of over 58,000 American soldiers who died or went missing during the Vietnam War etched into its surface. As Americans once said, in the capital of a nation where wars are remembered as victories, The memorial serves as a reminder of a war that ended poorly. This memorial stands as a poignant symbol of loss and the complexity of the Vietnam War, offering a space for reflection and remembrance. One veteran referred to the Vietnam War Memorial as a dark, painful scar of shame and regret. Clearly, in a city where memorials are tall, pointed toward the sky, and often white symbols of strength, the black V-shaped wall stands as a stark reminder of America's bitter defeat in Vietnam. It serves as a place of reflection on the costs and consequences of that war, contrasting sharply with the usual imagery of victory and power found in other monuments in the capital. And that brings us to the end. Thank you all for taking the time to follow this story about the US Capitol, Washington, D.C. If you found it interesting, feel free to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share it with Earth Stories. For now, I'd like to say goodbye and see you next time.